There's a man named Tom in rural Ohio who, every Sunday morning, walks out to his tomato patch with a watering can full of expired milk. His neighbors have stopped asking. They used to laugh. Now they just watch his tomatoes ripen, heavy, unblemished, dust-free, while their own plants get hit with that gray-white powder every July. Tom's been doing this for 11 years. He spends about $3 a season on milk that grocery stores throw out. His neighbor, the retired engineer 2 doors down, spends almost $200 a year on calcium nitrate and copper fungicide, and still loses half his crop most summers. Tom didn't invent this. He found it at 3 in the morning on a Brazilian agricultural research website, looking for something, anything, that wasn't another bottle from the garden center. What he found was a study by a man named Wagner Bettiol, working at the São Paulo branch of Embrapa, Brazil's national agricultural research agency. The year was 1999. Bettiol had the problem most gardeners would recognize: zucchini plants getting wiped out by powdery mildew. And he didn't reach for the fungicide. He reached for the fridge. Bettiol mixed milk and water in a 50-50 solution and sprayed it on his test plots once a week. The results were published in the journal Crop Protection. Diluted milk, it turned out, controlled powdery mildew as effectively as the commercial chemical fungicide it was being tested against. Hear that again? Milk. From a carton. Working as well as a synthetic fungicide that costs $40 a bottle. The study didn't go viral. It got cited a few hundred times, mostly by other researchers, and quietly filed away. 26 years later, almost no one in the garden center aisle has heard of Wagner Bettiol. But on Reddit's permaculture threads, on old homesteading forums, in the Facebook groups where people still post pictures of their grandmother's recipe cards, the milk trick keeps showing up, and the comments fill up with people swearing they've watched it work for 40 years. So here's what's actually happening in the soil when you pour milk on it. Milk is roughly 4% lactose, a sugar that almost nothing in your garden can use directly except certain bacteria. Specifically lactic acid bacteria, the same ones that make sauerkraut tangy and yogurt thick. These bacteria are already living in your soil in small numbers. The moment lactose hits the dirt, they bloom, they eat, they multiply. And as they multiply, they produce lactic acid, which gently lowers the soil's pH in the immediate root zone. Exactly the conditions in which beneficial mycorrhizal fungi like to extend their networks. So let's talk about the part that surprises gardeners. Mycorrhizal fungi, the white thread-like webs that connect plant roots in a forest, work as a trading network. A tomato root will give a fungus sugar, and the fungus in return will travel 10 or 20 feet through the soil and bring back phosphorus, calcium, micronutrients the root could never reach on its own. When you feed lactic acid bacteria with milk, you're priming the soil for those fungal networks to thrive. The bacteria break down complex compounds. The fungi move in behind them. Your plant ends up plugged into a living distribution system, supplied by something you were going to throw out. This isn't a new idea, by the way. The Korean natural farming movement, started by a farmer named Cho Han-kyu in the 1960s, has been doing this on industrial scale for 60 years. They ferment rice wash water with milk for about a week, dilute it 1,000 to 1, and feed it to their soil. The principle is identical. Feed the bacteria, and the bacteria feed the fungi, and the fungi feed the plants. Tens of thousands of farms in Korea, the Philippines, and parts of South America run on this protocol now, mostly without synthetic fertilizers. Their yields are higher than the chemical input farms next door, not lower. And then there's the calcium itself. Calcium does a lot more than build human bones. In a tomato plant, calcium is what stops blossom end rot. That black, sunken patch on the bottom of the fruit that ruins half a harvest. A 50-pound sack of calcium nitrate runs about $200 at most agricultural suppliers. A gallon of expired whole milk, diluted properly, delivers calcium straight to the root zone in a form the plant can actually absorb, alongside the sugar that wakes up the soil biology to deliver it. Now, the powdery mildew question, because this is where it gets strange. Bettiol's team kept testing. They wanted to know why milk killed powdery mildew when it shouldn't, on paper, do anything to a fungus. What they found was that when milk hits a plant leaf in sunlight, the proteins in it, particularly the whey proteins, undergo a reaction. Sunlight breaks them down into compounds that produce small amounts of hydrogen peroxide and oxygen radicals. That natural peroxide, sitting on the leaf surface, kills the mildew spores on contact without harming the leaf tissue. It's the same reason hydrogen peroxide sits in your medicine cabinet. The milk does the work, and the sun acts as a catalyst. This is why timing matters. You spray in the morning, on a sunny day. Tom in Ohio learned this from a forum thread 15 years ago, and he still does it that way. Most people I've seen post about this online use the same simple recipe: 1 part milk to 9 parts water. Whole milk works, skim milk works, and expired milk works best, because the bacterial colonies have already started multiplying, which means you're delivering live cultures. You spray the leaves until they drip. You pour what's left around the base of the plant, once a week through the growing season. That's the whole protocol. The soil itself starts to change in a way you can feel. Within a few weeks of regular milk applications, gardeners on the Permaculture subreddit describe their soil going darker, looser, more crumbly between the fingers. The earthworm count goes up. The smell changes, that sweet, alive smell of forest floor instead of dry dirt. Those are the visible markers of fungal colonization, and you don't need a microscope to notice them. A homesteader on a forum called Permies said it cost her about $4 to spray her entire half-acre garden for an entire summer. She used to budget $240 a year on fungicides and calcium amendments. She doesn't anymore, and her tomatoes, in her own words, look like the ones in the seed catalog. So why isn't this on the front shelf of every garden center? Because there's no patent on milk. There's no margin on something the dairy industry already throws away by the truckload. The agricultural retail business, including the bagged calcium, the synthetic fungicides, the foliar spray formulations, is worth tens of billions of dollars a year. A study from Brazil that says the contents of a kitchen fridge work just as well doesn't pay anyone's salary in that supply chain. So the study sits in a database. The technique survives in forum posts and grandmother's notebooks. And the people who do learn it tend to do exactly what Tom did. They tell their neighbors, the neighbors laugh, and 20 years go by, and the neighbor's tomatoes still get powdery mildew while Tom's don't. There's something almost insulting about how simple this is. You pour the milk you would have poured down the drain over the soil that grows the food you eat. The bacteria bloom and the fungi spread. The calcium reaches the roots, and the mildew dies in the morning sun. Your $3 does what $200 used to do. And the only thing standing between most gardeners and this knowledge is that nobody profits from telling them. If you're going to try one thing in your garden this season, try this. Save the half gallon that went sour in the back of the fridge. Mix 1 cup with 9 cups of water, spray it on a sunny morning, and watch what happens to the soil under your tomatoes by August. Then come back and tell me whether the people who buried this study were protecting science or protecting something else entirely. What's the cheapest fix that saved your garden? Tell me below. I'll read everyone.